Yeah, so Brian's, you're welcome to the class today on emotional intelligence. So we are
Thank you
live
very
right
much.
now. Yeah, so
Okay.
I'm going to be leaving you to steer the ship of the class already. Thank you very much for your
All
time.
right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. So we're just going to give it about a minute or two to get everyone to come on board. So if you're around, say hello. Hi, everyone. So we give a few, say 2 minutes to allow other people to join us. Oh, okay. Hi, Yemi. Hello, Buki. So we'll just give it a few more minutes to get everybody here. Hi. So if you guys could tell us how your week had gone, and for those of you that were here in our last week class where we looked at self-awareness, are there anything that we learned? Did we put what we learned from here into practices? You know, we were to keep a journal. How many of us are still keeping our journal? Hello, Favor. Talk about hello. How many of us are keeping our journal, and how have we implemented what we learned? Did any of us try out new thing? What's the new thing that you tried out? Hello, Felicia. Hi, Ajayi. Okay, so we are gonna hit the ground rolling now. Just share my screen here. No. Good. So once again, thank you all for joining me for this week. For those of you that were not able to join us last week, we are teaching emotional intelligence development, how to develop your emotional intelligence if you already have it. If you don't have it, how to begin to learn on how to first of all be aware of what it is and then learn how to develop it. Last week we talked about self-awareness. Excuse me. This week we're going to be looking at self-regulation. So just a recap for those of us who were not here last week. What is emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence is the ability to understand and manage your own emotions and those of the people around you. Do you understand what your
Hello,
emotions are?
everyone. My name is Kenin Naokafo. I am a teacher at Corona Secondary School. And today we'll be discussing a concept called computational thinking.
Okay. All right. Hi everyone. I had a bit of disruption
I think
there.
we're ready.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get this back to where it was.
Let's do it. Okay, so Ishan for now, Ishan Savik.
What is 1 second? My screen.
Hello.
Someone is okay. Hi everyone. Someone is on my screen. Okay. Okay. Sorry about that now. Just gonna go through sharing my screen. I'm not sure what happened there. Okay. So we're back on track now. Super sorry about that. I'm not sure. I think it's just the settings from my end that had created that. So we looked at the 5 elements of emotional intelligence, and we decided that we were going to be going through them one after the other. So for last week we had self-awareness. We discussed what self-awareness was, how to be self-aware of your surrounding and other people, and for those of us who needed to develop our self-awareness, things that we could put into practice that would enable us and develop it efficiently. This week, we're going to be looking at, self-regulation. So the 5 elements that we will be going through over the course of the next couple of weeks. We've done self-awareness, we're doing self-regulation today. Next week, we'll be doing motivation. And the week after that, it'll be empathy and then social skills. So let's have a recap of self-awareness, what we did last week. We did say being aware, being self-aware meant knowing our strengths and our weaknesses. It also means behaving with humility. And we had a look at what our strengths and our weaknesses are, where we had exercise where we wrote down our strengths and weaknesses. And we also agreed that we were going to ask other people what they think of us, what they think our strengths are, and we were to tailor it to things that we were looking to do so that they would give us answers, good answers. And then we also talked about trying out new things so that we can really be able to evaluate what our strengths and weaknesses are. How many of us did any of the things we were supposed to do during the week? That's very good. Okay, so today we are looking at self-regulation. So guys, tell me, what is self-regulation? What's your understanding of self-regulation? What does self-regulation mean to you? I'll give you a few seconds to tell me what self-regulation means to you. So for you, when you hear the word regulation, what is regulation? What is regulation? Emotional regulation, self-control, self-talk. What exactly is it? So self-regulation is the ability to monitor and manage your energy states, emotions, thought, and behavior in a way that are acceptable and produce positive results such as well-being, loving relationship, and learning. Most specifically, emotional self-regulation refers to the ability to manage destructive emotions and impulses. So because this is all under, we're looking at it from an emotional intelligence perspective, so it is very, very vital for us to understand what emotional self-regulation is. So last week we looked at self-awareness. So I looked at it, I said, let's look at it. Self-awareness versus self-regulation, so that we begin to know the difference between these two things and how they work together. So when you are self-aware, you have self-confidence. Awareness of the emotional state. You know what your emotional state you're in. Whatever is happening to you, you understand what it is. You recognize how your behavior impacts others. How does your behavior, when you walk into a space and behave a certain way, how does it affect other people? You pay attention to how others influence your emotional state on a personal competency. Once you are self-aware, all of these things are things that comes natural. After you've practiced for a bit of time, you've been cautious of it. If you put it into your day-to-day activity and you're constantly developing your self-awareness, these are the things that you would not know. And then on a social level, social awareness, now you pick up on the mood in the room. So when you walk into a room, do you pick up the moods? You can be very excited now going to see your friends, or even walking into a classroom as a teacher, and then the mood is different. Or when a student walks into a room with a different vibe, are you able to pick up on it? Do you care about what others are going through? When a student comes into the room and they are moody, are you aware of it, and do you care about it? Do you look at it and want to even know what they're going through? Do you hear what others are really saying? Now, it is very vital, especially as a teacher, that when a student comes to you, you might be asking them questions and they are answering you, but what they are saying to you and what they are really saying could be two different things. In a case where a student is not too comfortable with a teacher, you as a teacher, maybe because they are afraid that they might be judged, or they are afraid that they might get into trouble when they tell you what's really going on, do you hear what they are saying, what they are really saying without them saying much? So for self-regulation, these are all of these that I've listed are, for self-awareness. For self-regulation, it's getting along well with others. When you know how, once you are aware, once you are aware of yourself, you now know how to manage it. Once you know all of these things, how do you manage it? Getting along well with others, handling conflict, you know, using sensitivity to other person's feelings, empathy. Do you care about other people? Do you even, sometimes we can be very happy. You can have a really fantastic news and you're all bubbly and happy, and then you walk into your classroom and the students are not very happy, or you walk into your common room at the school where your colleagues are all together and they're probably not happy. Or maybe you got a feedback from the management or your principal that you're doing very well, and then there are other teachers as well who may have just gotten feedback around the same time that probably didn't get as nice feedback as you got. How do you show empathy? Do you understand that they are feeling, and how do you manage? I'm not saying don't be happy, but yes, you're incited, but how do you also manage your incitement in order for you to be able to show empathy to the other persons? Relationship management. So in your personal relationship with your spouse or your family or your very close friend, you get along well with other people. How do you handle conflicts effectively? Clear expressions, ideas, informations. How do you share this? How do you use sensitivities into other people's feelings, empathy? It's the same thing again. How do you manage these things? How do you manage dealing with people successfully, having empathy towards people successfully? So here are the things that self-regulations involved. The self-regulation involved the whole person. It involves a whole being, you as a person. So what does self-regulation in terms of the whole person? What does this mean? What is it? These skills involve much more than just simply self-control. When you hear self-regulation, most people just say it's self-control. Do you not have control over yourself? Sometimes you're teaching students, or some of the students are very hyper, they're very friendly, they are chatty, and then you have other people who are very calm, who nearly comes across as if they don't belong to the class, they don't belong to the space they are in. There is a physical aspect of it. There's a physical aspect of it. There's emotional aspect of it. Your personality, your impulse, trauma, ability to exhibit impulses. There is the mental aspect of it, and then there is a social aspect of it. But for today, we are going to be focusing on these areas that you can see on your screens. We're going to focus on why self-regulation is so important. Why is it important? Development of self-regulation. How are you going to be able to develop the ones you already have? And how are you going to be able to help the young people, your students, to develop theirs? We're going to look at the common self-regulation problems. What are the problems surrounding this? How do people even have problems? Where does it start from? We're going to be looking at that. We're going to be looking at effective strategy for self-regulation. So how to develop your self-regulation, the strategies to use while you're developing it, qualities of self-regulation, people that are already quality of self-regulators. So if you are already self-regulated, what are the qualities? How do you identify people who are already self-regulated? What are the qualities you see? What are the things you see? We're going to be looking at all of those. Putting self-regulation into practices. How do you learn to develop it? How do you practice it on a day-to-day aspect? And how do you teach your students, when you bring it back to the classroom setting, on how they too can develop theirs and be able to practice it and have it and grow with it as they go on? So first, we'll look at why self-regulation is important. lack of self-regulation will cause problems in life. We all know that. If you don't have impulse control, if you just walk into a space and you don't know how to behave, how to carry yourself. Take, for example, that particular student in your class that creates chaos. That when this student is around, in fact, you notice that the student is not around because they don't throw tantrum. You notice that the student is not around because nobody is coming to report to you as a teacher, say, oh, Uchechi or Mariam has done this or had done that. You feel relieved when the student is not in the class. Poor self-regulation skills may lack in self-confidence. So again, you go back to it and look at those students who they're probably very intelligent, but they are very laid back. They don't speak. People pick on them. People that don't have self-confidence or self-esteem, they always have troubles handling issues and they get frustrated. People like that, when you look at them, people with poor self-esteem, they will lack confidence, definitely. They would have very low self-esteem. They would have trouble handling stress and frustration. When you look at that, you would see that when people, it is very, very important to have self-regulations, because when you don't have self-regulation, these are the things that you're going to be lacking. And when you're working with students where some of them have these self-regulations and others don't have, the ones that don't have are obviously going to fall behind. They are most likely going to be the one that gets into trouble. They are most likely going to be the one that would always take the fall for what other students have done, because they can't even speak for themselves. They don't have the confidence to do so. And then when they get into trouble, you notice them getting really frustrated, because in as much as they may not have been the one that instigated that trouble, they are not the one that instigated that fight, but you see them pulling back. You see them not answering. They just take the blame. And when you give them timeout or you give them any punishment, they just take it. Or some of them might even be frustrated and begin to create tantrum, because they cannot really express themselves because they are not self-regulated. So self-regulation is important, as it allows you to act accordance with your deeply held values, and it helps you to express yourself appropriately. We all have values. So if everyone could take a moment and just say what their values are, what is that thing that you value most? For me, I value humanity. I value education. These are things that I value deeply. So no matter what, I'm going to study hard and do that exam so that I can pass. No matter what, I'm always going to be humble. I'm always going to treat people nicely. I'm going to care about people because I value humanity, because I value other people's life as well. I value lives. I value integrity. So my words are always my bond. When I say I'm going to do these things, I try as much as possible to be able to do that. When you are self-regulated, you would understand what your values are. You will begin to create values for yourself. So it is very vital that as teachers, you are able to inculcate, self-regulation into the young children. You're able to teach them how to develop theirs so that they can begin to, at a very young age, develop what their head-up values would be, what they value, what they appreciate. Because once you have something that is core for you, then you're able to walk around it. You're not just growing up in this world and not having values or not having something that you believe in. Self-regulation also, it allows us to bounce back from failure and stay calm under pressure. So we all encounter failure. In fact, in order to be successful in life, you have to have failed many times. The good thing about failing is failing forward. So every inventor, every entrepreneur, every successful person in life has one point or the other failed at something, or failed at many things. I have failed at a lot of things, but I intend to fail forward. So the thing is not to fail. That's not the problem. The problem is failing and not, first of all, staying calm to understand that, okay, I have failed, there's so much pressure on me, how do I pick myself back up? So it's staying positive. So if you're able to, pass this on to the student back in school, where say they are good at certain subjects and they are not good at other subjects, and they have failed in your subject, they wrote a test or they wrote an exam and they have failed, being able to make them understand that it is okay that you have failed, but if academics, if learning is your value, if it's a value, if you value learning, now that you have failed, you can do better by studying. You stay calm, you evaluate why you have failed, and once you've evaluated why you have failed, why you can now begin to learn how not to fail the next time. You can now begin to plan ahead and say, okay, if this exam, if I had studied for a week and this is why I failed, maybe this time if I study for 1 month, and then as a teacher, helping them practicing how to set goals. Okay, you're going to study now for 4 weeks, but so it's not too much for you. Study half an hour and I can help you. Have a study group. All of these sort of things would help young persons bounce back from failure really quickly. So, development of self-regulation. How do we develop self-regulation? Now that we know what it is, now that we know that it is so important to everybody. So, your ability to self-regulate as an adult has roots in your development during childhood. So there is no way we will talk about self-regulation and not really look deep down to how do people develop it? When do people start developing it? So as a child, when you're born, from the minute you're born, you start to develop yourself. You start to grow, different cells in your body start to grow. And as a child, if you had the ideal upbringing in terms of not being neglected and all that, you'll be able to, develop it. So before you become an adult, you have gone through a phase in your life where your self-regulation had been developed already. And it's a process. And as you grow older, you keep developing them, you keep growing, but you would have some level of it as an adult already, because you have at some point while you were a child developed it. So it is important. It is an important skills that every adult learn as a child, both for emotional maturity and social connection. So when you're self-regulated, you should be able to, connect with people. You should be able to have some level of emotional maturity. When developed as a child, one becomes an adult who is able to control impulses, to act based on uncomfortable feelings. Like you're able to act in an uncomfortable environment. Once you have it developed as a young person, when you are in a space where you feel out of place, you're still able to comport yourself and behave a certain way. You're able to manage well in a situation that is not so comfortable. Instead of the obvious, oh, what's wrong with that person, you are able to comport yourself, act normal, observe the situation around you, and be able to be you without affecting other people, or without having people go and start saying, oh, are you okay? Is there that young person actually in your class that everybody intend to look at and go, are you okay? Even you as a teacher, that you notice and go, are you okay? That may just be what they need to develop. So hence maturity reflects the ability to face emotion socially and threats. Let's move forward. So common self-regulation problems. How do people have self-regulation problem? Where does it begin from? As an infant, were you neglected? Some parents are very busy. When you have a child, I always say children are blessings from God. As an adult, do not have one until you're mentally, emotionally, and physically ready for one. Because if you're not mentally, emotionally, and physically ready to have a child, we all know it's a 24 hours job. The infant can feel neglected. And as parents, those of us that already have kids, it's okay to, train your kids the way you want them to grow efficiently, but also notice so that you make sure there's a balance. Because once you're being neglected as an infant, that's the foundation. That's where your common self-regulation problem starts from. As an infant, were you neglected? As a child, do you feel unsafe? So again, there are loads of domestic violence happening globally now. So it's when a child, when a child comes to school as a teacher, do you notice that they feel unsafe? Do you notice that they always go to a corner? They always want to be left alone. They feel unsecured. Do you notice that? Because these are where all of this starts from. These are where the problems start from. When a young person begins to feel unsafe, when a young person begins to feel unsecured, growing in an unstable home where you feel neglected, nobody cares about you, these are all the things that lead to it. And then as you grow up, if nobody is keeping an eye on you, if nobody is helping you to develop, if nobody is helping you to feel safe, you tend to grow up with a lack of strategy to manage difficult feelings as an adult. So as a teacher, it is your duty now to keep an eye on the students that you feel they are different from other students. They feel detached. So if you can begin to spot that and start to encourage such young persons and start to make them feel comfortable in school. I know that they are only with you in certain amount of time, but that's enough time to be able to install self-regulation, self-confidence into them. So you can begin to talk to them and begin to help them, teach them how to develop strategy to manage difficult feelings or difficult emotions. And when they have trouble, if a student comes to you to tell you, first of all, make it safe, be friendly, make it safe for a young person to be able to come to you and tell you what their problems are at home. And then be able to now, rather than looking at the downside of things and going, this is what's going, picking it up and calling the parents into a parent-teacher meeting. First of all, look at it if it's a situation that the young persons can manage. It can be just have a diary, and when these bad things are happening at home, when daddy and mommy are having issues at home, write your happy thoughts. Get them to do their happy thoughts. Make them feel like they belong. So there are different games that you could play in schools, that in classroom, that would help young persons to begin to feel connected to people, to begin to feel safe, and secured, within this environment. Once they can get a bit of that on a day-to-day basis in schools where you're teaching them, it is most likely that they would, at least a part of their self-regulation would develop from that, and they would begin to be able to, manage how they manage these feelings when things are not going their way, how they handle it, rather than feeling frustrated and throwing tantrum. So effective strategy for self-regulation. So things that are nice to look at is mindfulness. With mindfulness, this can be done in the classroom. It could be very early in the morning when they just come in. Get them to do a mindfulness, or what is it called? What's the word now? Yeah, get them to do meditation. That's what I was looking for. So get them to do a 5 to 10 minutes meditation at the start of the class. There are loads online. You can find a lot of different meditation on YouTube, different ways to do it. Get them to do it. Get them to just, come into the classroom, sit down and meditate for 2 to 3, 5 minutes. Once they do that, they'll be calm, because no matter what trouble is at home, they may have just left home with things not really being nice with their parents, or their parents are having issues, or they're even having issues with their siblings. As young people, when you're growing up, you would fight every now and again with your siblings and all that. or in some cases, kids that are not living with their parents, kids that are living with aunties and uncles that are probably not even being treated well. Their school may just be the safe haven that they have. So when they are coming in, they are coming into class with a lot of baggages. They're coming into class with, they probably been, scolded that morning before they left home, or they didn't really get enough sleep before the previous night because they had their assignments to do or they had chores to do at home, and they've come in. So when you put them through the 5 to 10 minutes meditation where they sit down in total silence and just meditate, and then talk them through how to really get them to be in the moment, to be present in that room, that time, short, to get them to be able to, think of them in that moment, in that present, and appreciate that they are sitting down there in that moment. So everything that had happened that had led to them coming into class that day is outside is outside that door, is outside the classroom. Now that they are in the classroom, they are in a safe place. They're in a secure place. And then they are really calm, and you draw them in and allow them to have that 10 minutes. You would even notice that when you break that session out, their creativity level would increase, their ability to listen, their ability to actually be able to take in what you have to teach them they'll be much more proactive. They will be much more interested in learning because you've just helped them be there, be in the present. And even as teachers, for you as well, because it is tough being a teacher. Some of you have 20 students in the class, some of you have even more in the class, and you have to come to school every day to deal with those students in the class. And prior to that, some of you, before coming to class, or some of you have your own life as well. You have your husbands, your spouse, you have your parents, or you have your kids as well. So there's a lot of all of this. So when you have not done all the stress, all during the day you ran around, so you can look at what time worked for you. Am I super active in the morning or in the evening? When do I get drained? Or when do I really need energy to pick up myself? So you could decide to be doing mindfulness. You can decide to meditate in the mornings or in the evening. It's just 10 minutes of your time. It doesn't have to be too long. You start from, you can start small. You can start with 5 minutes of your time and really just meditate and really just focus in the moment. Focus in the moment, and then you see how efficient, you see what that does when you focus on your breathing and your gratitude. You would see how it helps to calm you down, it relaxes you, it makes you're now even it helps you to get it helps you to become focused. So when you do that, even in the mornings before you come to the classroom, or for those of you who can't do it before you come to do it with the students actually. So when you do it as a teamwork, it's the one thing that you collectively do in your class every morning. You will see that the energy in the room will change, the student will learn better, your day as a teacher would go on even better than it probably would previously have gone on. So it will be a good thing. Mindfulness is really, really great. It's a good strategy. And conjunctivity and reappraiser. This strategy involves changing your thought pattern. Specifically, conjunctivity reappraiser involves reinterpreting a situation in order to change your emotional response to it. That says it all. So take for example, if two students are fighting and they came into the classroom to report to you. So when they tell you, oh, this person did this, they did it this way, they did it the other way, instead of reacting, on how they've said something to you, or say a colleague of yours had come to you and said, oh, Patricia said that about you, or in the meeting, in the teachers meeting that you were not in yesterday, this and that and the other was said about you. Now, as humans, we're defensive. Our natural instinct is to defend ourselves. The first thing we think of as human is, how dare he? How dare she? That's a natural response that would come before you even think. But instead of doing that, why don't you pull back a minute and begin to change how you think? So when someone is telling you stuff, instead of listening to just react, most times a lot of us get information, when someone is passing information to us, we absorb information to respond. Someone is saying something to you, you're not really processing what they are saying to you. You are literally preparing a response. So when it is you say something, I say something back, you say something, I say something back, what's gonna happen? It's chaos. When someone says something to you, you hold on a minute and process what they've just said to you. Think about it, and instead of just thinking, how dare this person say this thing, why don't you look at, oh, maybe this person said this so that I could learn. Say for example, someone says to you, oh, our teaching pattern, the way she teaches as students, it's not good. That would be offensive to you because that's your career. That's what you do. So for someone to say the way you do it is not good, it sucks. It's not a nice thing to hear. It's not something, it would affect your confidence if you are not self-regulated and all that. So instead of looking at it from, how dare this person is bad, why don't you take a step back and go, what does this person mean by this? Are there better ways that I could teach? No. How am I teaching right now? Let me evaluate how I'm teaching and look at the better ways that I could teach. Oh no, this person is not trying to say bad things about me. This person is giving a constructive criticism. So you see how that changes from, I'm going to fight him, to, oh, let me rethink and see how I can do this better. When I like to see my glass half full rather than seeing it half empty, because I believe that it can only get better from here, no matter what the situation is. It is very good to think positive, because it's how you think about things, and how you react to things that determines what happens at the end. So I give you an example. For me, I have always been a positive thinker. When people see problems, I see opportunities. So I'm wired to create solutions. So for example, I got into a plane March 20th, and I came to Nigeria. I came to Nigeria for a wedding, and we got here. That was the last flight to Nigeria. We got here. I'm a chief bridesmaid, and we've been stuck here since the 20th. So while everybody was throwing tantrum, while everybody was going, oh, I need to go back home, this is not happening to me and all of that, you know what I did? I sat back and I'm like, okay, what are those projects that I'm supposed to be starting so time? Can I see how I'd start them now? Okay, what should I be engaging myself with? What can I be busy with right now so that I can keep engaged and be working? So while my friends that had flew down with me, for the wedding, we all came together. Why some of them are busy going, it is the end of the world for them. Some of us had actually seen it as opportunity to learn new things, to strike new business deal. So for me, it's okay. Got a project going and I'm working now and I'm happy doing what I'm doing, and I got the opportunity to be working on emotional intelligence with you guys. The other lady, the bride actually, Benny, got here, and Benny is like, well, we're not just going to sit around. I'm going to learn something new. I'm going to learn how to make hair. As I speak to you now, when she came to Nigeria, she had no idea or whatsoever on what to do with hair. It's our wedding. Our wedding has not been moved. It didn't happen. The wedding was supposed to be the 28th of March, and she had not had that wedding, okay? Instead of soaking and going, oh my God, it's the end of the world, you know what she did? She said, no, I'm going to learn how to make hair. And she had gone, she's learning how to make hair. I'm going to learn how to make hair. I'm going to learn how to even do bridal hair. Okay, she first of all started with, I'm going to learn how to make wig. So she took a 4 weeks training on how to make wigs. And now she's brilliant at it. She actually did the one I'm wearing right now. So she did that. When she finished making that, she said, oh yeah, I can make wig now. Why don't I learn stuff about natural hair? And then she went back and she started training again for another 2 weeks on how to make natural hair. And now she knows how to style wedding hair and all that, which now means that by the time she goes back home, by the time we're able to get back on the plane to go home, while there's some other person that came here with us that had not done anything, she gets frustrated. People are different. She got frustrated. She had not learned anything in the last nearly 3 months now. But the rest of us had either in my case, done business transaction that had gone well, learned new things. In Benny's case, she now, when she's going back now, she's going back home as a qualified stylist. She had learned something now. So in that chaos, instead of thinking of this is a messy situation, she has turned it around and she had been able to learn something new. She has been able to gain from the chaos that had happened. So, when you begin to think like that, when you begin to turn things around and see a situation, instead of saying it's the end of the world, you flip it around. You look at the on a brighter note. For me, it's always when something happens, I go, oh, okay, it can only get better from here. That's my motto. No matter what happens in life, no matter what, I look at the situation and the first thing that hits me in my head is it can only get better from here. And that's how I live my life. And because I live my life this way, I am always a happy person. I'm always a positive person, and I bring positive energy to others because this is how I think. This is how I process things. I don't get offended. I don't get upset. I don't, throw tantrum because I know that people are people first before anything. So again, when you begin to develop your self-regulation, when you are self-regulated, when you become the negative, when you are not self-regulated, you avoid things. When a situation happens, instead of facing it heads up, you avoid it. There's avoidance in you. There's distraction. You're always distracted. You play away from things. When you're trying to do stuff, you get distracted from it. You worry a lot. You suppress things. Instead of dealing with something, instead of saying, okay, this thing is here now, and let me deal with it. No, you don't deal with it. You suppress it. So if you find yourself suppressing things, if you find yourself distracting yourself from a situation that deep down that I should be, dealing with this situation and solving this situation, if you avoid it, if you worry so much about it, like it's okay. So for me, I don't worry from a perspective of, oh my God, this has happened. No, I go, okay, we're here now. How do we fix it? So instead of worrying about things, if you get into the fix it mode, if you get into the problem solving mode, which is positive, you accept situations. So, which is, again, we'll go back to Benny now. What had happened with Benny at our wedding, instead of worrying that, oh my God, the wedding didn't happen, it's the end of the world, she accepted that my wedding has not happened. I can move it to the end of the year or even next year. So now that I am here, why don't I start to think of what to do, which is the problem-solving mode. She just got into problem-solving mode, and then she decided to spend her time wisely by learning how to, become a stylist, and then while she's doing it, she is satisfied. There's that sense of satisfaction. She's happy in the morning to get up and go. She's excited about it. There's excitement, and there is this sense of enthusiasm. She's pumped up. She wakes up every morning. She takes it seriously, and she's doing it. What that had done for her is she has something to look forward to every day, and she's grateful for it. She's happy. So she's not creating problem for her spouse because she's happy and she's busy. So when you bring this back again into your classroom situation, so when you see students that are frustrated about studying, or they get distracted when they're studying, try to have conversations with them and see what frustrates them about it, and begin to teach them ways that they can accept that, okay, you're not good in maths. Accept that you're not good in maths. Now that you've accepted that you're not good in maths, what are the ways that we can use to help you develop your math skills? Because we are all intelligent as people. We are all good at something. We just need to learn how to do it. I remember back in high school, it was years ago, fifth year. I was in fifth year at this point, and I didn't know how to draw. And I really love art. I love the art class because I love art and craft and all that. But I would see people draw, portrait, and it's really nice. And I didn't really know how to my head told me I could draw, but when I put it on paper, it wasn't working. So instead of getting frustrated, I went to my art teacher. I was even doing ordinary level, because you either do high level or ordinary level. So I was doing ordinary level in art because I loved art, but I couldn't draw. So I do ordinary level. I still go to the class anyway. I do it until my teacher looked at me and looked at some of my stuff and said, it's not that you can't draw, you just don't know the pattern, you don't understand the techniques to drawing. And Miss Kelly just showed me, said, put your paper on the ground. She did a grade for me, a box. So she also did a grade on the portrait that I was going to draw. I think it was Celine Dion, actually, because I love Celine Dion. She said to me, pick something, pick someone that you really like, pick a picture. And I really love Celine Dion, so I picked Celine Dion picture, a portrait, and I showed it to her. So she showed me, she did a grade over it. So when she did a grade over it, a square grade, she did it all over it. And then she said, bring your drawing paper. I brought a drawing paper. She also did another square grade over it, on it. So she said to me, Bryzy, instead of trying to draw Celine Dion, why don't you draw whatever it is you can see in the boxes? So what I did was I sat down and I drew what I saw in each boxes. I drew what I saw in each boxes back to my own drawing page. And guess what happened? I had a fantastic Celine Dion portrait. The proportions was right, its dimensions was right, and everything. So that's the problem solving mode. So that is accepting that, okay, I'm not good at this. How can I be better at it? And after I did that, I just went on, I kept drawing, I kept painting, I kept doing it all, and I enjoyed doing it. And it was just from a teacher pausing for a minute and looking at ways that I could learn. Other people may have not learned how to draw on grades, but I did. So people have different ways that they learn. So as a teacher, it's your responsibility to understand the students in your class and see how they can better learn. You know, people's learning patterns are different because people grew up in different backgrounds. People's IQs are different. So you have to be able to be creative, you know, to be, you know, creative, proactive, problem solving mode, so you can teach people different ways of learning the same thing so that they are able to learn. And so you're able to have students who would never forget it. Like I would never forget Miss Kelly, because if not for Miss Kelly, I never would have known how to, you know, or I never would have been able to develop my drawing skills. So qualities of self-regulators. So, you know, when you are self-regulated, you act in accordance with your values, you know, the things that you value in life. If you want to become, you know, for the student, you ask them what they value, what do they want to become academically. So if they know that they want to be a doctor, you tell them, search for the doctor that you love so much, you know. Who is that person that had left a mark on you? Who is that lawyer that has left a mark on you? Who is that governor or that president or that philanthropist that have left a mark on you? Take their picture, hang it in your room or keep it in your diary and begin to study, because when you study and you read very well, you would someday be able to be like them, because that lawyer studied and, you know, went to school and graduated, and this is why they are at. Because sometimes we all need sense of purpose, especially as a young person. When you're growing up, we need sense of purpose. A young person want to have a goal. A young person want to know that if I do this and this and this, I'm going to get here. So as a teacher, if you begin to, you know, train them, if you begin to talk to them on how to, you know, have a sense of purpose, and it can be something as small as, you know, what they want to become in future, and then you not tell them, do like a life plan or a year plan for them. So, you know, for those of them that are in secondary school that have to write their SSCs or their, you know, leaving cert, for those that are in Europe, or whichever exams that they have to do. So he's setting a goal for them that, okay, if you get this amount of numbers in the Nigerian setting, if you get so numbers in your SSCE and you get so number in your JAM exam, you're going to get this. So in order to get these, so you can go to college, here are the things that you need to do to achieve them. So when they hold on to that, because in Ireland, which is where I grew up, you have to have certain points in order to go to certain university or pick up certain courses. Say, Trinity, for example, you have to have over 400 something points. So in order to do, for students who wants to achieve that point, score that point in school, you are most likely advised, you're most likely going to be in a higher level class. So you're most likely going to want to pass all your exams and get certain numbers in them. So they start to train you. Once you do your junior set, you finish your junior set, they start to train you, or they start to prepare you for your leaving set. So it's never too early to start. So if you're in your first year, if you're a first year teacher and you're teaching students, first of all, find out what these students in your classroom, what each of them wants to become. They tell you, what are the colleges that they can go to study this, what are the grades that they need to study this. It's simple. So put it down, let them write it. Do a career guidance class, teach them that, okay, I may teach maths, but in order for you to get so grade, maybe your A's or your B's, you have to be studying X amount of hours on a daily or a weekly basis in order to meet this. So once they act in accordance to that, because what's happening now is their values maybe to go and study law or medicine or science or tech, and they need certain amount of scores or grade or points to be able to get into university and study that they want to study. So if you start from JSS1, from your first year, and you're studying this and that, if you read so time and you get these grades in your test, it will all add up for you to be able to get so grade. So by the time you write your final exams, you'll be able to get into that university, the other university. Now, that's a sense of purpose. You know now that they value their value is to become whatever it is they want to become, and then you're not giving them guidelines on what to do in order for them to get there. Calming themselves, teach them how to calm themselves when they are upset. So again, it's how to behave in a situation. Is seeing cups as half full rather than half empty. Is being able to deal with situations, no matter how frustrating situations are, is being able to take a pause, take a breather, not listening, not hearing information to respond, but hearing information to process it. When you process it before you respond, your responses are usually always different. Your responses are not defensive, And then again, it's sharing themselves up when they feel down. So anything, on a daily basis, we get upset, we get down. Like, so for example, again, I'll take it back to my friend's wedding. So during Benny's wedding, the wedding wasn't going to happen the day it was supposed to happen. I happened to be the chief bridesmaid, so I knew that if she wasn't busy doing something fun that day, she was not going to be happy. She was going to be really down, and I didn't want her to be down. I didn't even want her to think of it that day. So I thought of it, and I told herself and her spouse, whatever it is you want to do today, I'm your chauffeur all day. I'm going to be with you. And they were like, the husband was like, okay, I'm going to try some local dishes here. I'm like, yeah, good. Let's go to the funniest things. So I just looked, I Googled, I looked around, I saw a really local place that ordinarily we might not have gone into, but I went, I brought them down to this local place, and they loved it because we even had a live band there that we didn't plan for, and it was really fun. Everybody got cheered up. We even forgot that day was, our wedding day, because in the morning I'd gone there, give them a bottle of champagne, just to make them happy, just to cheer them up, because I knew that day was supposed to be their wedding day. So they were a bit down, and in order to, pick them up, make sure that they were, happy, I did that. And for them, that was awesome. For me, I was happy because I also would have been down because I had come here for this purpose and it's not happening. So, it's looking at ways to cheer people up. It might just be as literal as a student coming into school and saying you're beautiful. On a daily basis, I make it a goal to appreciate someone. I make it a goal to compliment someone, because sometimes in life, all the next person needs to hear is, oh, your hair is beautiful. Oh, your makeup is pretty. Oh, your dress is lovely. I love the way you work. I love your smile. Oh, you have a really charming smile. Just something that simple that doesn't take anything from you might just help to boost someone else's, self-esteem. So when you are self-regulated, when you're self-regulated, you are able to pick up on these things, cheer yourself up, also cheer people up, compliment people, maintain open communication. Again, I can't stress this enough. A lot of the times as parents talk at their kids, not to them. And some schools, some teachers also, it's not necessarily because the teachers wants to do it. It's just sometimes you can't give what you don't have. So maybe when you were being raised or when you were in school, your teachers, you feared them, they flogged you, they talked at you. So as a result, when you becomes a teacher, you think that it's the norm. No, it's not the norm. So 90% of the time, students or young persons that are communicated to, open communication, like communicated with rather than talked to. So communicate with people, don't tell them, talk to them. When you talk to someone rather than telling them, when there is a dialogue, when there is an open communication, when you're able to communicate with people, you would see that your relationship with them would actually be different from as to when you talk at them. They'd be more open. A student whose parents, there's this thing with a lot of parents, most times would want their kids to become that which they wanted to become, that they didn't become for whatever reason, whether they had a child or financial issues or what have you. Now they wanted to become a doctor or a teacher or something. Not that they couldn't become it, they want that of their kid. Now what they forget is they don't understand that the child actually have what they want to become. So it's your job as a teacher, when you have the open communication, young persons are able to tell you what they really want to do, because they can confide in you, even when they cannot do that at home with their parents, because their parents are not communicated with them, they are talking at them. But when they come to school, it's a safe space with Miss Linda, it's a safe space with Miss Tolu, is a safe space with Miss Tokbe. They are able to talk to you, they are able to have open communications with you, to tell you what they want to do or what they are looking to become, or even things that are simple as social skills or whatever it is. And because you are open, you are able to listen and understand what they are saying to you, you are able to now advise them or guide them on how to go, or when they are going through difficult times, how to persist through difficult times. You're able to because when there's an open communication, now they can communicate with you. And when they can communicate with you, you're able to assist them and guide them on how to get through difficult times. And by default, you may not know it, what they learn from you, they are able to give to others, because you can only give what you have. So if you're able to help them, teach them all of these things, they would be able to pass it on to other people, say their classmates or their friends outside the school, and also they, once you teach them, they have open communication with you, they are persistent through difficult situation, they would by default always put forth their best effort. They would always put forth their best effort, because when you teach people that things can only get better, that you get as much as you put into things. When as a young person, a young person realized that, okay, if I study, if you're communicating with your student now, and you're saying, look, if you read every day for an hour and you do it consistently, 3 months or 4 months or 5 months before your exams, or a month before your exams, you would get XYZ, because you have put in the work. When they know that, they would definitely put for their best. So they would study hard, they will do that which you need them to do. And obviously the reward will be obvious, because when you put in the work, you obviously will get the result. They are flexible, adapting. When you are self-regulated, you are flexible, you adapt to any situation. So it is very, very important to be able to adapt. I can't stress it enough, because when you don't have flexibility in you, you cannot adapt to situation. It's best to just literally stay in one place, because you're not going to grow. The truth is, if you cannot adapt to situation, the difference between people who just go through life and people who live life, it's your ability to adapt to situation. Because if something is happening, if you're optimistic and you are flexible, say maybe For example, see you were going to go to, you're going straight down, you're going to maybe you say you were going on an errand, or you were trying to do something, or even look, even with the whole pandemic that is going on, let's even look at that now. If you are not able to adapt, if you don't have the ability to adapt to the now, no, students are not going to school, and be flexible enough to say, are there ways we can start to do online classes? Are there ways that, okay, maybe I can send them their coursework, their schoolwork via emails? If you're not able to do that, you might as well pick a different career. But in anything you even want to do now going forward post COVID, you're going to have to learn how to first work remotely. You're going to be flexible as to, okay, if I was going to teach this class online today, what if my internet doesn't work? So would I send an email first and see if the emails would go through, and then just in case if the internet doesn't work, or should I even pre-record this class and then send it on, so that whatever happens, people are able to watch it in their own time? These are ways that you can learn. And then for young persons, it's being able to, like, okay, if you wanted to become a doctor, outside being a doctor, is there other things that you might want to be, so that when you're studying and you finally write your exams, if you apply for the university, if they don't give you this as your first choice, that they can give you the other as a second choice? How do you prepare? How do they even try, look at how ways to adapt to situations? Like, if they're looking to do whatever it is they want to do, are there ways that you can create work experiences for them? Or even in the classroom, you're going to get people who are within those fields to talk to them, tell them what the limitations of the work are, or the challenges of their chosen career path could be. And then they begin to learn how to grow up and be flexible with things, or how to know how to adapt in situation. Or do exercise in the classroom, where you put a situation in front of them and see how they adapt to it, and see what they do, and how they are able to be flexible, and how they are able to navigate these things. Seeing good in others. Like, I can't stress it enough. If you can't, before you can even see goodness in other people, it takes the goodness in you as a person to see the goodness in other people. If you cannot see yourself, if you cannot be good, if you cannot see yourself as a good person, there is hardly a way that you can see goodness in other people. So it's very vital to learn how to see the good in you, to learn how to compliment yourself, how to appreciate yourself. Because when you appreciate yourself as a teacher, when you are able to appreciate yourself, when you go to school, you'll be able to look at the students and be able to see, oh, she's actually very good. Because you have to be good. You have to, not just being good, you have to know that you are good. See the goodness in you, so that you can see the goodness in others, because you cannot give what you don't have. You know, stating clear, saying what your intentions are, stating clear, saying clear in your intentions. So again, it's very, very vital to be honest, to be straightforward. So when you picked a job to become a teacher, what were your intention? Did you pick that job to help other people? Because as teacher, you have people's future in your hands, especially for your secondary school, primary school teachers. You literally have a young person's future in your hand, because that is their transitioning period. They are transitioning from a child into adult. And when they don't get the proper care, when they don't get the proper skills that they need to get in that time frame, it could change their life for the worse. And when they get the proper things that they should get, it would actually help them to be a better person as they grow. So you have to know, because I know that there are three, people go to school, or people do jobs for different reasons. Some people do it because it pays the bills. Other people do it because they like the profession. They like to be called a doctor, they like to be called a teacher. Why some people genuinely teach because they want to affect other people. They want to add impact to other people's life. I remember my aftercare worker saying to me, she says when people ask her, she tell people that she's rich, that she's wealthy, that her wealth is not about the money in her account. It's about the lives of people that she has touched. So you could tell that that's a sincerity of purpose. That's, you could tell that she makes it intentional. to help young people develop. And she's happy because once you understand what your intentions are, once you understand why you are a teacher, why you've decided to be a teacher, in Nigeria, for example, people pick different jobs for different reasons. Sometimes you study one thing and you're doing the other because of the economy or whatever reason. Some of us, we stumble into what we do. So if it is a case of, okay, you really didn't want to be a teacher, but you're a teacher now. Now, this is where you are now. Remember, I said earlier on, my motto in life is it can only get better from here. So again, with that sort of attitude and that sort of mindset, okay, fantastic, I'm a teacher now. How do I make the most of this? Make it intentional to be the best at what you do. Make a conscious effort to be able to be the best that you can be at everything you do. So okay, I didn't plan to be a teacher. I'm a teacher now. It can only get better from that. Here, how do I impact on students? How do I be the best teacher that I can be, even if I'm a teacher for 2 years or 10 years or 1 month or 2 months? How do I impact on this student? Because you never know, every life you come across, you leave, especially as a teacher, you will leave an impression on them. You will leave a mark on them. So always ask yourself, what impression do I want to leave on these young people? What mark do I want to leave on them? What footprint do I want to leave in their life? So be intentional on, be clear on your intentions of what you want to do, and more, and be able to, have good intention towards the students, because you are going to help them develop what they eventually become. That is a transition for them in order for them to get to what they become. You see some students, like I'm sure you as a teacher, when you were in school, there's a teacher that you would remember because he or she was exceptionally good. There are also teachers that you would remember because they were not good at all. There is no middle ground. There's always, oh, that teacher was fantastic. She always took care of me. Like I remembered Mrs. Kelly, sorry. I remember Mrs. Kelly because Mrs. Kelly made me to be able to, draw, to be able to do my artwork. And she did not stop there. She made sure that I left ordinary level art class to a higher level, art class. For that thing that she did for me, she left an impression on me. And the impression she left for me was a good one because she had an intention to genuinely train the student. She had an intention to genuinely deposit good substance in a student. That is why I benefited from it, and I'm sure other students benefited from it. So would you want to be a Miss Kelly to a student, or would you just rather want to be that teacher that the students don't remember after they've left school, or they remember you for bad stuff? The choice is yours, and it can only get better. That's my motto. So even no matter how you have been treating your job as a teacher, maybe you've not really been, too concerned about teaching, or you do it because you have to do it, it can only get better from now. It can only get better from today. So you can actually take control of the situation now. You can take control and say, okay, going forward now, I want to be a better teacher. What are the qualities of a better teacher? Research if you have to, and begin to live. Set standards for yourself and begin to live by those standards. While you are setting standards, instead of looking at those standards that you're about to set as challenges, why not see them as an opportunity like I do? To see this standard as an opportunity. See it as, okay, this class, this, online class that I've taken today, it's an opportunity for me to be the best teacher that I can be, and see where that goes. So putting self-regulation into practice, there are 3 ways. There are 3 ways to, go deal with that. So first, in every situations, there are 3 options. So no matter what happens in life, no matter what you walk into, say you walk into a room and people are fighting, there are 3 options: approach, avoid, or attack. What do you want to do? I can tell you, Attacking the situation in a negative way is not good at all. Avoiding it may not be good, but approaching it, looking at it and seeing how you can deal with it might be a better option, you know? Becoming aware of your feelings, how you're feeling in a situation. So, say you walk into a situation, is it running away or lashing out that you feel? You know, when situations are happening, when things are going on around you, especially in your personal space, your emotional life, do you just run away or do you lash out? You know, restoring restoring balance by focusing on your deeply held values. See beyond that, see beyond that discomfort, act in a way that aligns with your self-regulation. So when you see situations like that, you approach them, you don't run away from them, you don't lash out either. Remember your deepest value. So when something is going crazy and you're not sure what to do, like I said before, don't hear stuff to react. Don't see stuff to react. Don't hear stuff to respond. Don't see things to react. You focus, you pause, take a deep breath, and remind yourself it can only get better from here. Now that you know it can only get better from here, how do you act? So you begin to say, okay, this is nice. Because inside us, we all know what's good and what's bad. What intend to block us from knowing what's good from what's bad is our emotions. When things are happening, different emotions rushing, and you're acting a certain way, and it's only when you pull back from it and you're going, shouldn't have done that. Why did I do that? For me, everything in life is a choice. Everyone has a choice on how to react in a situation or how to react to a situation. You have the choice on how to react. So it's easy when a lot of emotion, especially emotional stuff, is going on. And this, you can also pass this on to your students as well. So when a situation had broke out in class, let the student talk to the young person to, identify what they are feeling. Now that this had happened, how does it make you feel? How are you feeling right now? Make an honest determination of the case. What are they dealing with? What is going on? Try and find out exactly what is going on. Help them to help themselves find out. So you see, sometimes I have noticed that instead of telling someone, oh, you did this, and because you did this, this is why this has happened, I think that is best to help them walk through their feelings and help them walk through what has happened so they can come to an understanding of what they've done wrong and how they can do something right. Because it's easier when you help someone see what they've just done from a third person's perspective than to be, shouting on them or telling them. Let them realize it themselves. It's simple. It's just by going through it with them. Why had this happened? What happened? Okay, now that this has happened, how does it make you feel? What would you have done to have avoided this? What other ways would you have addressed this for a different result? When you begin to deal with young persons like that, they start to see that there are always a lot of options. I always tell people you can see the skies through anywhere in the world. Because wherever you're standing now, if you're outside your door, look up, you see sky. Where I am now, if I look through my window, I'll see sky. So there is solutions to everything. There is solution. Everybody can do everything once they put their mind to it. So which means that there are always different perspectives to things. So most times when situations happen, it's not about identifying who was wrong or who was right. It's about identifying different people's perspective. It's about understanding where this person is coming from and that person is coming from. Because once you begin to understand different people's perspective, it helps to resolve situations. I do my very best not to caution blame, because especially in a school setting, when you're blaming this person or blaming that person, it is very, very possible that the person you're blaming might feel that the other person is your favorite or you're picking someone over them. But when you deal with a situation and allow them to by themselves realize that everybody have an opinion, this person cussed you out, your choice, that person made a choice to have done that to you, you had a choice on how you had reacted. People begin to see things from different perspective, and you have a more coordinated, a more self-regulated young student. You have a more coordinated student as you begin to impact this on them. Take action to break the circle of negative emotions. So when stuff are happening, again, when stuff are happening and you walk into a situation or student report to you, instead of cautioning blame, look at a way to diffuse the situation by helping them put them into each other's shoes and looking at different perspective and looking at how people can own on to their actions and their reactions to things. When that is done, they begin to learn and they begin to know to react certain ways. Only then can you begin to produce self-regulated student. So the goals. What are the goals now? Now that we all know what self-regulation is and how to go about it and how to impact on other young people, our students. So the things that I would encourage us to do for next week, from going forward, or when school get back on after post COVID, is meditation. By yourself now, engage yourself in a 10 to 20 minutes daily meditation. Mindfulness, sit down, think, concentrate, get yourself into the now, this present, with gratitude, appreciate what you have, what you are yet to have, love the moment, because it is the present. You're not sure of tomorrow. Yesterday is gone. So always bring yourself to this moment. If you can do that every day, 10 to 15, 20 minutes, or you can even start from 5 minutes, and then slowly you'll be able to do longer times, longer minutes, and longer hours. Try yoga. If you have not done yoga before, try it out, see how you feel. You don't have to leave your house to do yoga. You can get on YouTube. YouTube is good. You can Google, and then you see a lot of yoga exercise that you can try, and soothing music. Try other calming activities, activities that brings you into the present. Try it yourself and then try it with the students, and you see the changes, you see the improvement in them. This will help you become more self-aware. It will also help the young persons to become more self-regulated. So keep a journal. I always advise people to keep a journal. When you're experiencing anger or strong emotions, slow down and examine why. So when things are going on, as a person, as an adult as well, you can try it out and examine why you're feeling the way you're feeling. Examine if you don't like a particular teacher, your colleague, ask yourself why. Because half the time when you really ask yourself why, you just realize that, oh, there is absolutely nothing. It's just me, especially for women. Every woman I think most women have this 30 seconds rules. So when someone walk into, or 5 seconds rules they call it, when someone walk into a space, you've already decided whether or not you like this person or not. The person has not said anything. You just look, you glance, and then you're like, oh, okay. So, and then that just build up over time. And then you have this colleague that has done absolutely nothing to you. She might just be an amazing person, but you not talk to this person. So look within yourself and look at teachers like that, or people, your friends, your colleagues, people that that for no reason you're just not in good terms with, or situations that had happened before where you've experienced really strong anger. Look at it and ask yourself why. And then going forward, when you're in a situation, once you've done that, you see that going forward, when you're in a situations like that, you're able to, pull back a bit and wonder why. And that might help. Remember, this is key. Remember that no matter what the situation is, you can always choose how you react. Choice. we all have choices to make. So someone can decide to be really mean to you, but you have a choice to be nice to that person, to entertain that person, or not to entertain that person. I think when every young person knows this, there'll be less chaos in the classroom, there'll be less fight in the classroom, there'll be more of understanding, and a lot of friendship would be built. Because when people know, when a young person understand that, okay, it's your choice to had treated me the way you've treated me. It's my choice on how I react. So maybe you treating me this way you treated me is because you were upset coming from home. Let me choose to be nice to you, and maybe that might have a ripple effect on you. And these things works when you actually do them. And then most importantly, just write out what your reactions were, and the impact it had. So when maybe when you are in a situation where you've done something and you've reacted in a way that you are not asking yourself, oh, I shouldn't have done that. It's Don't beat yourself up. Remember, it can only get better from here. Once you remember that, write out, you know, how you reacted to a situation, and how what your reaction has created, good or bad. Just write it out. When you write it out, you're able to see it, take it in, and then write for future. If this was to happen, how would I have reacted better, or how would I react better? So, any questions? So let's take the questions in. If you have any questions, put them down. I'll react to those questions. Put them on the chat box, and I'll react to them. I would respond to them. So for next week, we are going to be doing motivation. So self motivation includes our personal drive to improve and achieve commitments to our goals, initiative, or readiness to act on opportunities, and the autism and resilience. So this is what we're doing next week. I am excited about it. I'm sure that you guys are all pumped up. Once again, my name is Brancy Lawrence. As you all know, I am the founder of Youth Care Global, and you already know what we do at Youth Care Global. We are dedicated to providing a safe haven for young persons, where we focus on their skills development in the areas of psychosocial and emotional intelligence. We work in partnership with Coderina Education and Technology Foundation. And you already know my background. You already know why I'm the way I am. I'm coming from a project management background. This allows me to look beyond obvious. This allows me to look beyond the obvious, and create high energy and engaging life skills program to put even the most nervous of young person at ease. I'm specialized in identifying opportunities where other people see problem, and help create solution by equipping people with the life skills, tools, and confidence needed to implement the solution, and most importantly, self values.
Wow, thank you, Brian,
Very much.
today for
So
the presentation. Yeah, I'm looking at the chat, but before then, yeah, you had an awesome presentation on self-regulation.
Thank you very much.
Self-regulation, it's really, really deep, and it's what is actually needed for anything to actually get done, because outside self-regulation, there's no control, and when there's no control, everything just goes loose. And yeah, I'm trying to look at the questions that they have
I'm
here on the
actually
chat.
looking at the chat here to see some of the questions.
All right. Yeah. So, but what we're going to do is that people can actually still post their questions in. Then I think more importantly, your presentation is going to go on the Coderina Learning Portal, and then there will still be space for questions to be asked, and you will be able to respond even much more there. So everyone on this class, I hope they are already on the Coderina Learning Portal. If you are not there, you should let us know. Just send an email to hello@coderina.org, hello@coderina.org. We would want to respond to your to you if you are not yet on Coderina, the learning portal. So what happened now is this. Please, we're going to be pushing the presentation of Brian's on the learning portal. So if you have your questions, so that perhaps some of you might still need some time to digest and ask, because self-regulation is a whole lot of deal, and I believe that we should have questions that should really make us develop that skill, that capacity. I think Brian, hope you are on the chat. Hope you are seeing the question.
I'm reading there now.
Okay.
Destiny is asking there how she can infuse meditation into a class of age 6 to 7 years, seeing that time frame. Okay, yeah. I mean, Destiny, you can actually start from, like I said, you can do even a 2-minute, because they are kids, which is actually even good that they're very young, because these things, you start them when they are really young. So for a class like that, the attention span obviously would be a lot shorter. So you can make it, you can put it in form of a game, play mindfulness game, meditation game. There are lots of them that you can get from the internet. You Google different games that would suit a younger kids. And then you can just start with as short as 2 minutes, and then as they do it, and the more they do it, the more they are able to last a bit longer. And then usually what's good for kids is treats. So you tell them if they are able to hold still for 1 minute or 2 minutes, they get a treat. That usually help a lot of young people to, stay calm. And once you start to do that, they'll start to enjoy it, and then you can keep doing it from that. Hope that answers your question, Destiny.
That's a nice illustration for that, and I hope that others will still come up with their questions. So now, because of the time, we wouldn't want to keep you too long. You have some other things to do on this weekend. Now, we're going to make sure that the presentation is going to go on. Now, you could actually still come back and check this video and rewatch it again. It's perpetually on our YouTube channel, Coderina. But you'll also be able to get on the Coderina Learning Portal and be able to get the presentation, as it were, on the Coderina Learning Portal and ask your questions, and we'll be able to kind of send you some additional feedback. And Brian will actually be there to be able to, on forums, to be able to send, respond and give you more scenarios, because we have a limitation of time in this synchronous schedule. So once again, Brian, as always, thank you very much for auditioning.
Thank you so much, John.
What I love about what you do is that you don't stop giving some really great analogies and real life experiences, which are really, really core to emotional intelligence, because these are things that people are going through every blessed day, and in their classrooms and all that. So now how those things come, how they have to deal with it, is really, really a training that is very, very scarce. So thank you for offering the time, judiciously to lead people and teach people and facilitate this session. We really appreciate you, Coderina.
Thank you so much.
And we look forward to motivation is a wonderful thing that we can't wait to have you on it next week, because I know that one there's going to be a whole lot of discussions and a lot of comments about that. I'm very sure of that. So thank you very much for your time today.
All right, thank you, John.
So you're welcome. Yeah, so I'm going to pull you off the screen right now.
Okay.
Yeah. So everybody, thank you for staying this long with us. We really appreciate you. That's to show the strength of the teacher in you now and your learning ability. I always believe something, that every teacher is first a learner. And for those of you in this chat room watching this and looking at, maybe perhaps you're looking the recorded version, we appreciate the fact that you are demonstrating what you who you are, and your teachers, your students are much more better by this capacity for you to learn better. So we appreciate you showing up. So what's going to happen is this. We already said it in the entrepreneurship class, if you were there. Our virtual learning pedagogy class is going to start next week, and the other classes will start next week. And we're really going to have some exciting people on the show, and in the class. Never mind, said on the show, and they are going to. These are people that have actually been working on online learning, blended learning for years, and they already have been in and out. So you will be able to like pick up a whole lot of information from them. So please keep a date with next week for our classrooms for the personal and professional development training series under the Lifelong Learning Skills initiative of Coderina Education and Technology Foundation. This has been an awesome opportunity that Coderina brought out for everybody, including kids. We are as we're having concurrently as we're having the class for teachers, we're having the class for students and younger learners. So and everything is absolutely free. You can't imagine that we have some of these awesome things and it's actually totally free. So I think the management of Coderina and the people of Coderina are actually doing some great work. So you have to kind of like say a big thank you to that. So now we appreciate you for learning, because that is what we are here for, to make sure that you have something new and fresh every day you come to class, so that you will be able to make use of these things. And all our programs are actually hands-on. So please note that. So next week we're going to send you the information. So quickly, I'm going to tell you that now you can actually go to learn. I'm going to put it on the chat. Learn Coderina.net to be able to register yourself. You will see the courses under the PPDT track. We have 2 tracks right now going on. The one for younger learners, and the second one is for teachers like you. So you'll be able to like go. So when you get there, it will tell you to sign on. When you move up on the sign in page, you see where you could create an account. If you don't have an account, but if you already do, please go ahead and sign up. Enter into your account. And if you have any issue, just get across to us at hello@coderina.org. hello@coderina.org. We're going to solve the problem. There are people at the back end to really solve the issues for you. So thank you for the time that we've learned together. It's been an awesome day, and I believe that perhaps maybe you have one or two other things to do on this weekend. And so you say around the same period next week. So from John here, I say thank you. God bless.